All right. We're here. All right, welcome. 8 o'clock, Monday, March 7th. This is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres in lovely Marion, Michigan, northern Lord, Michigan. We got about 6 inches of snow last night, and we were almost out of snow. We were almost bare. So some of the young people around here didn't mind it too much. They got to get their snowmobiles out one more time. It shouldn't be around long, though, because it is March. This is the way it goes. We get some snow, and it can even snow into April, but it's the end. Winter's coming to a close, and that's good. I'm really glad. It was a good winter, though, but it's nice to have it on its way out. I'm liking that. All right, so how are we doing? We don't have anybody in yet. Nobody in, and we're into the show 1 minute and 11 seconds. So let me hold on a sec till I see something's working. Anybody? Nobody yet. Nobody yet. In 2 minutes. Well, there we go. Okay. As soon as I see one person, I know that it could be 1,000. Who knows? Who knows? All right. So kind of an after brief. We had our second ever charcuterie class this weekend, and we had 11 people take the class. So it was a class of 12, and we had one person who couldn't make it. So it was a really good time. We actually, it was outstanding. It was much different than the first one. Actually, my attitude towards it was completely different. I don't know if the people in the second class compared notes with the people in the first class, as they would say, "Oh, gee, we got ripped off." But my attitude towards the whole charcuterie business is different now. It's just different. And I see Inga's with us right on. I approached it more as a homesteading skill. And I think that's how we want to look at it for the time being. It's just a homestead skill. It's a way to preserve meat outside of refrigeration and canning. It's a homesteading skill, and as we approached it in this class, hey Sean, we looked at it like, hey, this is a refining process. We've got animals on the hoof. That's great, but they're of no use to a lot of people when they're on the hoof. And so we're going to refine those animals down into usable products that we can store and keep for another day. And, we're putting up calories that we able to put someplace and utilize them when we need them. So it came off really well. I think the attitude of folks that we're getting in our classes, and we've seen this for about a year, people are really leaning forward. They really feel as though there's a sense of urgency to get some of these skills under their belt. And some of the folks that were in this class came from, let's see, we had 3 people come all the way from Texas, 2 separate groups. And, it takes some dedication, really. And let's see, we had some people come from Minnesota. Everybody else was fairly local, I believe. Yeah, fairly local. But real good. had a nice time. Spent a lot of time talking with people about different things, and 100% productive. I wanted to talk tonight about harmony and the homestead. Harmony and the homestead. A lot of this has to do with a conversation that I had with a friend last week. I had listened to a video, and the guy's name is Brad Johnson. You want to find him? He's on YouTube, and he's what you call a mystic, right? And he has dreams, and he does tarot readings, and he claims to just have like a direct connection to what he calls source. I guess some people would call God. And who knows? I mean, maybe he's just a real good actor and he watches what's going on every place else. And he says, well, this here is what's going to happen. And this is what you all need to be preparing to do. And I guess I listen to what he says, like what he says. All right. I like it. He says, oh no, things are going to turn out. We're going through some hard times, but the American spirit will prevail. The human spirit will prevail, and everything will be okay. But a lot of the corruption and graft and things of that nature that we've all dealt with all our entire lives are going to be going by the wayside. And we're entering into a new time where instead of the U.S. military being the guardians of death, they will be the guardians of peace. And instead of farmers fighting amongst themselves and no one's doing very good because they're getting scammed by chemical companies and banksters, a lot of that will go away and traditional farming will come back. And there will be lots of work for people and lots of profit. I mean, food is something that you're creating from very little. Like if you breed animals, you're the one that stewards it, but they're the one that does it. And then you help it along, you give them housing, you provide them with food, and then you provide butchering services and things. But there is definitely a profit in it. And it's not like silver or precious metals where people, they don't really need them. They can get along without them. People really need food. So it is a profitable business. And sort of like when you take a tomato seed that has very little value, almost no value. What is it, a tenth of a penny or even that? And you put that baby in the ground and you take care of the soil and you water it and you nurture that plant, which really isn't all that difficult. You can get several bushels of tomatoes out of that one little seed. So if that's not creating wealth out of nothing, I don't know what is. But the corrupt guardians of farming have said for many, many years, well, there ain't no money in farming. Get big or get out. And subsidies, you got to have subsidies from the government. Without subsidies, there's no way that we could even prosper in farming. No one would ever do it without. Well, that's such manure. That is such manure. And the truth is coming out that there is money in farming. You're creating products from very little, and it's a value-added process. And as we tried to show this weekend, we processed 2 old sows. They were 3-year-old sows. Weren't great sows, and it was like, was I going to just keep them around forever? And okay, so we processed them. I told the class that they have farrowed twice a year for me for 3 years. And so the number there is upwards of, could be 60 baby pigs. So there's quite a bit of profit in baby pigs when you sell them. I sell them for $150 for feeders. These were 3/4 pigs. They weren't full Mangalises, so they didn't really make good breeding animals. I didn't feel. Maybe somebody bought one or two of them that said, no, that's fine with me. I would take them. And so we did quite well off them. And then we processed them. Between the two animals, we had about 1,100 pounds of carcass laying out there. And the class came, and in 2 days, we had it all processed down into prosciuttos and culatellos and sausages and pancettas and bulk sausage, and it was all processed down. And we added a lot of value to those carcasses that really didn't owe me anything at all. I mean, they were paid for a long time ago, and they had given me nearly 60 baby pigs. So it was a very profitable situation. And that's one of the things we tried to pass on to the classes. Don't fall for this. There ain't no money in farming. What farming has become is the powers that be, the chemical companies, the co-ops, the lending institutions, they have specialized people. You know, you're one man, you control 700 acres, and this is how you do it. And here's the loan for the chemicals and the fertilizers and the seed, you know. And when everything's said and done, if there's any slippage, any breakdowns, you, the farmer, that comes off your bottom line. But we get ours first, you know. And that's what they've done. And farmers have fallen for it. A lot of them know it. And a lot of them, you know, we had a farmer in this group from Minnesota that had he just sees it, and he broke away from it. It cost him, right? It cost him to break away from it. And now he's wanting to learn this type of farming and the vertical integration of the processes. I guess that's the heavy way of saying it, the big way of saying it. But basically, it's you try to own as much of a process as you can. Let's say the end process is ham. If you can own it all the way from farrowing the pigs, which means you have the breeding stock, you have the mom and dad, they give you little babies, then you feed them out when they're the correct size that you want for the products you want to make, which is about a year, maybe a year and a quarter, year and a half. Then you slaughter them, right? You can do that. And then you learn how to cut them up. You can do that. I mean, the classes are available. People have taken our classes, and now they're teaching other classes. So it is blossoming out. And then this class that we did, it takes it a step further, right? So a pork chop being a fresh piece of meat, we took it to Canadian bacon now. I see Nancy Dort's with us, so in your honor. Canadian bacon. Brittany's with us. Jonathan's with us. And, there's a lot more value to Canadian bacon than pork chops. You know, I mean, maybe you like pork chops more, but you would pay more for Canadian bacon because it costs more, a lot more. So if you are the guy that owns the pig and you are wanting to sell that pig, if you sell it on the hoof, you're lucky to get $3 a pound for it. But if you turn it into prosciutto hams, Canadian bacon, dry cured sausage, and the list goes on, you get a considerable amount more money for that product. I mean, a lot more. Also, if you're maintaining the process yourself, if you're doing the process, then parts of the animal that were thought to be, that ain't no good, can be utilized. It's like, hey, look at this really nice chunk of fat that comes off the back. You know, if we trim this up, we can get this into a nice square, and we can make a lardo out of this. Oh, how do you do that? Oh, you pack it in salt, leave it for about 30 days, and then you've got a fresh piece of fat that's salted shelf stable. You can put a string through it, hang it up over the sink, and when you need something to put in the pan, but before you're going to throw in a handful of green beans or a handful of spinach or a handful of kale, you throw this in, cubed up. It's salty. It's nice, that nice Mangalitsa fat, and then you've got a completely different side dish than you would otherwise. And it's, if we had sent these pigs to conventional butcher shops, like a USDA shop, they'd say, we don't know nothing about lardo. You throw the fat is bad. Throw the fat away, right? And what happens a lot of times is people will go back and they'll say, you threw away my fat. And they say, oh, we're sorry. Here's some other fat. But it's just from corn-fed and soybean-fed pigs, which it's going to be gross. It actually is worth throwing away. I mean, you don't really want to eat that. So, yeah, owning the process is the way to go. And so I had this conversation with a friend of mine last week, and it was about the Brad Johnson thing. I listened to his presentation, and his presentation was, hey, you know, things are going to work out. What you're seeing here is the big picture, but really you don't need to know the big picture because you all have things that you're supposed to do. And I thought, that's for sure me. You know, I like to look beyond, you know, Baker's Green Acres and say, hey, what's going to happen out there? You know, and is the president doing his job? And, you know, is this one, you know, in the big picture. And I can get kind of wrapped around the axle about that big picture thing. And his message was, you don't need to know. You really don't. It's sort of like a hobby. It's like watching WWF wrestling or whatever it is. A lot of it's smoke and mirrors, a lot of it's fake. And when you get right down to it, it doesn't really affect you. Like, and I could just hear somebody saying, oh yeah, have you seen the price at the gas pumps lately? Yeah, but what does me knowing what's going on in Ukraine have to do with that? Nothing. It's just another company, fuel companies that are gouging us. Why? Because they can, you know, because they can. You know, and there's nothing we can do about it. So I don't think there's anything we can do about it. Maybe somebody knows that something that I don't know, like there's a special phone number you can call and say, bring down the price of fuel. And they'll say, oh, Mark called and said, bring down the price of fuel. We better do that. Maybe I should be more attentive to that, but probably there's nothing that you and I can do at this level. And I'm not saying that we're peasants or anything. This is the level that I want to be on. I really don't want to be in Washington or in a, you know, down at the State House at the Capitol. I'm not interested in that at all, that lifestyle. I'm really not. So I checked with this friend of mine. By the way, she's not in the farming business. She's somebody that I met through the Weston A. Price Foundation, and she's actually a musician in Chicago. And I was like, what do you think of this? You know, because before I say anything about it, I don't really want to, you know, pass it on or even let it propagate in me that maybe this is correct. And she said, well, I don't really like him, and I'm sick and tired of listening to guys like that, and you should probably turn it off. What you want to do is just pay attention to what you're doing and focus on what, you know, what you bring to the immediate world around you, which in reality, that was the same message that he was giving, but I didn't say anything. And when I heard it from two people, I actually said, yeah, you know, that's right. We do need to focus on this. And then she went on to tell me some things that now that I think about it, I may have stumbled as a result of some of these things that she shared with me. She said the rating system of the world, the rating system of the world is the things that we know of. Oh, how much money do I have in the bank? Like my net worth. That's a rating system. Uh, how many how many views do we get? It's a rating system of this platform. How many likes? Da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? All those things. And to be honest with you all, sometimes it feels a little like, am I doing the right thing? Because I put a lot of time into this, and the number of views is really quite low. And then I'll look over to some other channel that is very rudimentary homesteading skills and philosophy, very, very rudimentary. And they'll, in 2 hours, they'll have 39,000 views. And I'm like, wow, maybe people just really don't like me. Maybe really this is not a good message, not a useful message. And it causes me to second guess that maybe during this 1 or 2 hours that this lasts, maybe I should have a part-time job and I would be bringing money into my home at least. But she reminded me that no, that is not the way to look at this at all. That if you can touch the heart of one human being, that is worth more than all the views and all that stuff that you look at and say, gee, maybe they don't like me. And so when I went into this class this weekend, I thought, no, this is really important. And I treated everybody as though they're extremely important individuals, which I believe they are. Brought right to me to do what I could do. And it's, when people come here to learn a process like charcuterie, they're seeing so many other things, and they're around a family that works together all the time. So, we do well together, and we break bread together, we eat and all that stuff. So it's way more than just learning the particular process. And then we get to talk about facilities and how to build things, how to facilitate these processes and things like that. So there's quite a bit to it. And so then she started to talk to me about the farm, our farm. She's been here several times. Actually, I have a picture of her playing her clarinet to my cows down on the back 40, all by herself down there. Rachel holding the music and her just doing her practicing. She's a professional clarinetist, so she practices like 3 hours every single day. And she said to me today, if I wasn't a musician, I would probably be a farmer. But I am a musician, so I'm not going to be a farmer. And I thought, I always wanted to be a musician. If I wasn't a farmer, could I have gotten out of the military and just taken up an instrument, and I would have played now for 18 years? Could I be a professional at this point? Maybe, I don't know. So anyway, she said that the homestead, our homestead especially, is sort of a model of harmony, because we have a lot of different processes going on here, and it's not chaos. It's not. I mean, there have been periods of time where it was chaos. I mean, we used to have a bull, and I hated him, and he would get out and he would terrorize. And then when it was my turn for payback, I would chase him with the motorcycle and a BB gun, and I would shoot him, and he would just go nuts, and it was chaos. And there was times when the cows would be getting out a lot, and there was times when things weren't the way they are now. I mean, things are a lot better now. I mean, I'm I'm actually in a room now that at one point water ran through the roof right here and splashed on the floor right there. I mean, it ran through. You could fill a 5-gallon bucket in about 3 minutes in a good rainstorm, the way it ran through on this very floor right here. And now the roof is fixed and the walls have been reaccomplished, ran all new electric in here. So things have gotten better. You know, everywhere that you look, things have gotten better. And it had a lot to do with getting to a place where we could understand the processes that were going on here and be able to work with them instead of against them. Instead of trying to make them do their thing my way, when I realized, well, this is what they do, and so I need to kind of work with them, and they will somewhat work with me so long as they're getting what they need. You know, and that's the animals, and that's the plants, and the soils, and things like that. We're by no means at a place where you can say, yeah, we've got this harmony thing down pat. No, no, not even close. I mean, if you were to follow this guy around here all day long, you might hear some bad words and see some tools get thrown around. And that's not harmony, but it's getting better all the time. And it's sort of like that game that you play where there's the pole and then there's a ball hanging from a rope, tetherball, and you're one guy and you're pushing it this way and the other guy is pushing it this way, and the idea is to wrap it all the way around. When it gets close to the end, it really wraps fast. It's sort of like that, you know, because the more harmony that we bring and the processes are working together, then the less wasted time, the less wasted resources. Well, I shouldn't say wasted time, but inappropriate use of time, because it's not exactly wasted. But if I can, you know, I this is a great example that I use. We do a process here called chicken butchering. Right? Doesn't seem like much, but it's the homestead has multiple sources of income, right? And chicken butchering is one of them. It's just something that we started doing a long time ago, and you know, it's just built over time. Our name gets out there, and we do a good job. Jill's like meticulous on the finishing table, and the birds leave here looking really well, really good at a reasonable price, and we give good customer service. And you know, it's kind of neat to drive through here, right? So that business has grown, but the offshoot of chicken butchering is heads and feet and guts and feathers. And it's like, if I were to ask around, like say out into the, like, I don't know, go to some department someplace and say, well, what should I do with this? They would say, oh, you have to have a service come in and take that. And then that has to be taken to the landfill and disposed of properly. And well, what does that mean? So I check with the service, probably the same company that picks up the trash, and they'll say, "Oh, we have a special bin for that, and that bin, it costs $38 a week." You know, and I'm just speculating. I don't know. And it has to be picked up within 1 hour after it is filled, because we can't allow, you know, fly larvae. There'd be all this criteria, and I'm sure some department would want to check a box on some sheet or some stupid thing like that, or they'd want me to keep it at 38 degrees until the disposal truck came or something stupid like that. But we keep pigs, you know, and the pigs, well, they like heads and feet, they like fresh chicken. So as soon as the buckets are full and need to be dumped, and I mean, the heads and feet are still warm, it goes in the loader. It's split into groups because I have multiple groups of pigs. You take it out there and dump it, and in a half an hour, there's a wet spot on the ground. That's the only thing you see, and it's gone. And the pigs need protein. You know, they're omnivores, so they need protein. So it helps them. It helps me in disposal. The pigs go to bed hungry or full that night. Their little bodies are getting the proteins that they need to build pig bodies. And harmony. We've got a harmonious process going on. So then where does it go from there? Like today, we finished up cleaning in the shop from the weekend. We'll talk about a harmonious process right there. I was kidding with one of the guys. We were talking about the harmony and the flow of things on the farm. And I said, I got another one for you. I got people that drive here all the way from Texas and pay me money to process my pigs. And then before they leave, I sell them my pigs. I sell my pigs to them to take back with them. You want to talk about harmony? But it actually is. I mean, I was kidding with him, but it actually is a very harmonious situation because we charge for the class that we're conducting. Yeah. And how do we come up with a price on that class? It's not what you would think. It really is not what you think. If I charged $250 for that seat, you know, a 2-day seat, people are very 250 bucks is like, well, if my Aunt Millie dies or something like that, or I got a golfing tournament to go to, I'll blow off the 250 bucks. People will do that. That's surprising, but they will. If I go 750 for a 2-day class, it's going to exclude a lot of people that I really need there. I really want those people because they're the trigger pullers. They're the ones that are going to, you know, spread this out and make this they're going to introduce it back into society, you know, and it's going to take hold from those people. So we set it at 500. It's right there at the pain point, but people pay 500 for a puppy. So, and it's sort of work. Now we've added things on to the class, so the class is actually 650, but we're adding value to the class via, you know, photographs and, you know, certifications. And yes, that's right. You leave here with a certificate in hand, and all the honors and respect due to a certified charcuterist. So, and you get it, you know, maybe a T-shirt or something like that. So, we are adding value to it, and it seems to do well. But that's a harmonious situation, right? And then today, after we did the cleanup, we had 3 buckets. I saw them of things that we weren't going to use, right? And I suppose if the times were really hard, we would have used them. But things aren't that bad. They're here. They're not at all. So this 3 buckets of odds and ends, and I'm telling you, just really intricate little pieces of veiny things or bloodshot meat or something like that, went to the chickens. And the chickens are like, woohoo! They need protein too, and they need fat. And this, I know that the protein and fat from these animals is really good stuff. Last night I had a collar steak, about like that, and I was a happy guy. And I had another one today at lunch, so I'm kind of a well-fed guy right now. And this is off my old sow, so it's not like the sow gave us 60 babies and then we dug a hole and pushed her in because she's tough, or, you know, this. I tell you where a lot of disharmony comes from in the farm community. It's from rumors. There's rumors that people hear, and instead of thinking about it and saying, that doesn't sound right, they'll just say it. They'll just blurt it out. And you see it a lot on the internet, especially on homesteading sites. Someone will come up with a great idea. And I saw one the other day that was pretty neat. Anyway, the guy had a good idea, and he was saying, I need some input on this. And Oh no, I know what it was. I put a picture up of milk. No, I know what it was. A guy was looking for raw milk, and somebody referred him to us. And then some other guy on this homesteading site says, I'd be careful with talking about raw milk in an open forum like this because it's illegal in the state of Michigan. And now, is the guy a troll working for one of the stupid agencies? Or is he just somebody that's reiterating something stupid, something negative, something completely untrue? Who knows? But that type of thing puts it's that innuendo and rumor that really puts a quash on a lot of people who otherwise would say, gee, I'd like to do this. You know, this seems like something that my spirit is saying we would like to do this. We'd like to be homesteaders. So we did put an end to a lot of rumor and innuendo this weekend because they just get really antsy. Here we are making sausages, and they're like, well, could I take this home with me? Like, and I would kid them. I'd say, yeah, but you know, if you get pulled over by a state policeman, throw it out the window and claim you don't know nothing about it. You know, just to be kind of absurd about the whole thing. But it's rumor and innuendo about the regulations concerning food, as if their regulations concerning food, you know, have any bearing on, you know, a private guy. I mean, you're not in any kind of, you've made no agreement with any of these agencies to go by their regulations, you know. And in reality, you are the one that's supposed to be holding them to your regulation, which is your constitution. You should demand that they respect your constitution and bugger off, right? But anyway, we did talk a lot about harmony on the farm today, or over the weekend, and every time I would see it, I would point it out. I'd see, so that process is harmonious with this process right here. Another place that I really like on our farm is we have a big vegetable garden for the house, and it's right by a sorting area where we keep small pigs. So when we take them away from their mothers in the farrowing area, we move them over to a sorting area. And it's just, you know, little pigs are really easy to look at. They don't make a lot of noise, and they're just kind of nice to see. And when you're working in the garden, and let's say you're filling up a milk crate with weeds, so you're weeding, you're pulling them all up, and it always, at the end of weeding, when you dump them into a pile, it always feels like kind of, yeah, that wasn't so much fun. I don't know, it doesn't feel as good than if you fill a milk crate with weeds and you take it over and you dump it to these baby pigs. They go ballistic on those weeds. They love them. And it feels like you're doing two processes. So you're freeing up the soil around the plants that are going to yield the things that you want, and you're also pulling weeds and collecting them up, and you're feeding them to these animals. So it's two birds with one stone. Very harmonious, right? It's a harmonious situation. Another one is our calf pen. We're not as harmonious as I want to be. Our calf pen right now is about 50 by 50 feet. It's pretty small. You don't need much for the operation that we have. And the secret sauce on the calf pen is there's a really hard fence in between the moms and the calves. And when we separate them, that fence is what keeps the moms from going through and the calves from going through and getting the mom. So that's the secret sauce there. But I'm going to extend it out into a garden area and put a really trick gate on one end so I can get in there and till the whole thing up. in the winter time, we will feed the calves on this garden area. Calves are not so heavy that they're going to pack the soil, and plus I can get all their manure turned in the spring, and it'll just sit there and be a nice hot area for planting pumpkins and and Indian corn. Right, Indian corn is, you know, the kind of corn that you just leave out there, and when it is dry, then we take it off, bring it in the house, and then shuck it off, shuck the kernels off, and then those can go in a grinder and make cornmeal. Really neat. Very harmonious situation too, because you just leave it out there and it dries on the stalk, and it's nice. You know, I mean, if I harvested it off and then brought it in and put it in a dryer and plug the dryer in, and we got to run this for 25 days, and it's only going to bump the electric bill by about, you know, $1,800. No problem. Boy, I don't want to do that. It's whenever there is disharmony, there's added aggravation and cost, right? So harmony on the homestead is not only a de-stressor, it's also an economic decision. It really is. So one of the things that we stressed a lot, and I talked to you guys about it, but you know, when you think about it from the harmony point of view, is when we do things seasonally. So I killed pigs last Friday. We left them outside on the hay wagon, split in half, outside. And you might think, wow, just sitting out there, didn't something come into it? No, because the scraps that we took off when we were cleaning them, we put that over by the barn. And who's over by the barn? The cat. So the cats come out and they say, well, we'll just take this. We're not going to walk over this to go over there where we might get attacked by some dog or shot at by some weird farmer, you know. So we understood the situation. You know, you leave these carcasses out at night and you got a bunch of barn cats. That could be a really bad situation, but we understand it. And we just say, well, if we leave them stuff to eat over there, they're never going to come over here. And, you know, it's just not far. It's like across the driveway, but they will never do that. And so we split the carcasses, laid them out on the hay wagon. It got down to 9 degrees that night. We came out in the morning with the class to work on these carcasses, and it's like harmony. You know, we've got nice cooled off carcasses. They were down to probably 35 degrees, and the fat was all set up so you could work with it, and it was easier to handle. And that is working in harmony with the seasons, right? So if we were going to do a homestead hog harvest and we were going to do it in August, then we would have to have a building. It would have to be sealed up really well. I mean, you can't. I mean, it's really difficult. People coming in and out of the building, keeping every single fly out. So you would have to bring the temperature of that building down, way down there, so flies would be inactive. And unless the building is super tight and insulated, which is an expensive process, then you're going to be running some serious HVAC to air condition that building in order to do that. And so it just gets more complex. Now, like down in Texas, they have to do that because it's like that down there. It's hot down there a lot, you know, especially in the summer. It's extremely hot. That's why I would not want to live there, is because of that heat in the summer. But in the wintertime, that's when they have some cool temperatures. Some. When we were down there, it got down to 20, I think, which was really kind of odd. But there again, working in harmony with the seasons would be a decision that would pay you, because if I'm paying for HVAC to run and I make that commitment on that equipment to install that, then I'm probably going to want to run that all the time, which would mean I'm butchering pigs all the time. And I can't do that because that's not a very harmonious thing, butchering pigs in the summertime when I need to be cutting hay, building fences, and grazing cattle in the summertime. So your schedule should be a harmonious schedule. You know, you don't cut hay in the wintertime. You don't butcher pigs in the summertime. You don't butcher cattle in the summertime, and so on. You know, everything, there's a season for everything. And if you adhere to it, you're going to have a much more harmonious situation. There's another thing, though. There's another part to this. So I hope you're all on track with the harmony around the farm. And as we're promoting harmony on the farm and we're putting our processes together and we're setting up our flow for the farm, and you know who's going to be where, and you know if I have cows over here near chicken tractors, is that a harmonious situation? No, because the cows will blow the chicken tractors apart to get in there and get that feed. Not real harmonious. So we have to separate them. These guys have to be over here and these guys have to be over here, and maybe even put up a safety fence, actually, in case the cows were to get out. They'd make a beeline for that feed. So things like that. But there are other things. There are definitely other things that we need to be thinking about, I think. And this is a little tough. In the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of people come to this side of the fence and say, I want to be more self-sufficient. I want to be more in tune with what's happening. I want to know the truth about things. Like in the homesteading business, I can lie to you about how it's going to work. But then when you go to do it, you're going to say, that doesn't work that way. You know, and same with me. When I go to do a process, if I lie to myself and I say, well, this will work, even though I know it won't, it doesn't make it work, right? So truth is a big part of the homesteading world. It really is, because we are dealing with the reality of the way it is. It's just, we're working nitty gritty with the created plants and animals, and we get to be the steward. We get to be the Adam and Eve here that kind of engineer who goes where and how, and work on efficiency and all those things that I just mentioned. And when you've been doing it for a while, you start to understand the harmony, the harmonious flow of things. In everything that I do, there's a harmonious flow, or can be, not always, but there can be. I mean, even I'm a big organizer. You know, I want the tools organized. I want these tools in there and these tools in there, and the tools that are in there, when you're done with those tools go back in there. Like all last week, it was really causing me some heartache. I would go into my shop up here. It's just a little rabbit trail, but I'd go in there and there's sawdust on the floor, and a lot of it, and odds and ends and stuff. And then I'd stand there and I'd say, where is that broom? And I'd picture the broom. I even remember when I got the broom and I put an extension on the handle, and I'd look around in that shop and it wasn't there. And so I was heading down to the maintenance shop, and I go down there and I would look all over the place and it's not there. I'd go to the butcher shop. It's not there. I go to the house. It's not there. And it just starts to like, where is the broom? You know, and I start imagining people stealing my stuff and just laughing. We've got his broom. Where was the broom? Down at the pond. Why? Because somebody was using it to broom the pond off to go skating. Makes sense. I should have thought of it. But they didn't bring the broom back. Right? but we got that situated. But I mean, that is even for me, efficiency, organization, it's all part of a harmonious existence on the homestead. We put tools back. Um, so anyway, this thing that's been going on for the last couple of years, really, this is where a lot of us have come together on this platform. We've come together. And I think we've all had people in our lives that have said that if we're not going to do certain things like putting masks on and getting a killer shot, if we're not going to do that, then they're just going to cut us out of their life. And I know I've had that happen to me. A lot of the nieces and nephews don't want to see me anymore because I don't comply with any of this stuff. I don't play the game. I don't believe it's what they say it is. And I think I'm right. And what we're starting to see now is the mainstream media has moved completely off of COVID. They're even making fun of it on Saturday Night Live. So when that happens, when they start making fun of it on Saturday Night Live, you know it's done. It's over. And my boy there, Brad Johnson, has said by April, you can stick a fork in COVID-19. And I tend to agree with him because I look at it now and it's like toast. Only the weirdos are still wearing their double masks and still carrying the torch. But can you imagine if you were one of them that bought into it and you destroyed relationships with your families over it? Can you imagine if that was you? And then all of a sudden it just ends and the media just doesn't talk about it. Now we're talking about how nice the Ukrainians are, you know, and that's as much BS as the other thing if you haven't figured that out. But a lot of the people that were double, triple, and quadruple maskers and the triple shots and all that stuff, they've switched narratives. They're like into Ukraine and them dirty Russians, and probably President Trump had something to do with it. That's what's going on. And I think what we're going to see, I think I'm already seeing it. I think I'm quite sure I'm already seeing it. And so, like, it's going to be us that understand harmony in society that are going to have to just say, yeah, no hard feelings. You know, like maybe at some point, some of these people will come back and say, you know, I think I went off the deep end with this. I'm sorry. You're welcome in my house now. But maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. Maybe you just show up and it'd be like, okay, I guess you can come in. Rachel Maddow's gone now, you know, so I guess you can come in. I don't know exactly how that's all going to happen. But when I heard that message that I am going to have to be the one that promotes harmony from my friend, and my wife tells me this all the time, but you know, you have somebody from outside the family tells you, and it's like, and I think we are going to have to promote harmony, and that's going to be sort of like, well, okay, we can be friends again, you know. And that's not going to be easy. That's not going to be easy because there was some hard feelings over it, but in the end, I guess we can kind of just walk tall and say, knew it was BS all along, and I'm not going to fall for it again, and so be it. Turn the other cheek and just keep going. So that's what I'm thinking. I have told you all along that I think we're heading to a place where when corruption is no more, then government subsidies will be no more, and therefore factory farming will be no more. It will wither, because if they have to continue their operations on no subsidies, then they will go out of business very quickly, and then that land will get broken up. You will have traditional farming coming back on. You're seeing, I mean, I bought diesel fuel today and it was $4.05, and I saw it out in town $4.89, right? That's just going to destroy the factory farm model. I mean, it's just, they were sucking before, and now they're just going to suck more, and it's going to be very, very difficult on them. And now on us, yeah, I will probably not run my tractors much as I do now, because diesel fuel is quite cheap, and instead of using a wheelbarrow, I'll just use a tractor, right? Because I can ride on it, right? And it's funner. But no, I think we have the options to go to more hand tools and less tractoring and less driving into town. I went into town today just because, and I was actually burned out from the weekend. I was not burned out, but tired. And if I take a day and take it slow and just do no mind chores, firewood or something like that, and get a little shut eye during the day and go to bed early, I'll be okay the rest of the week. It is a taxing process when you have that many people and you're constantly getting, but you're there for that. I mean, I'm not complaining. That's why I'm there. But it is a tiring process. And then we had a group that was here this morning. They were buying pigs and heading back over to where they're from. So we sat and had coffee this morning, and it was pretty intense conversation about the farming and the place we're going. Believe it or not, there are people coming into the tribe right now, brand new people that are saying, "I didn't know you guys were here. We are all alone in the community that we live," and it was getting a little tough. All right, so that's my message. And when you think about being kind and forgiving and all that stuff, and you say, "Well, I will with them, but I won't with them." And if you think about it and you get to the point, you're saying, "Well, if Mark can do it, I can do it, and okay, I'll do it." Then the grace will come to you, and you will be able to just whatever. Okay, just suck it up and go. My old man used to have this thing he would say. He would say, "Yeah, no hard feelings, no hard feelings." And he even spoke to me after he passed away one time. I felt like towards the end of his life, there was a lot of confusion and some things happened that probably shouldn't. And I was really remorseful of those things. And it's almost like I heard him say, "Nah, no hard feelings." Right. So I think we're going to be the ones that have to do that, and then invite them in and say, "Okay, let's go on this journey together. We are going to start creating our own food. We're going to create the world that we want to live in." What this does is it breaks the spell that they put over people. So it makes no sense when I see some people that have bought into this COVID narrative, lock, stock, and barrel. They have bought into it, and then when you shake your head at them like, "What's the matter with you? Can't you see this?" You're actually making the spell stronger. But as this thing dissolves, because they no longer need the spell, they don't need it anymore. The powers that put this in place, they don't need it anymore. They ran it as far as they want to go. Now they're going to do the famine thing. That's the next thing that they're going to run. And we see this happening already. They're going to do famine. And all right, see what you can do. See what you can do. And we react to it. And okay, you want to do famine? We'll do food. And that's what we're going to have to do. And we'll all be better for it. How much better would our country be if we did away with factory farming, or if factory farming just went away? It just goes away because it runs on money and high concentration of energy sources. If that just goes away, and then that land becomes available, and people say, "Well, I'd like to have an 80-acre farm, and I could do this." And then let's say we had, the university extension service that was showing people how to do traditional farming, not chemical farming. and we're actually helpful in that way. They could be. It's just that they obey their masters at the university, and they teach what the university is being paid to promote, and that's factory farming and chemical and heavy metal, right? So it can change, and I believe it will. And maybe some farms like this that are already up and running and have learned some things, maybe we can help. But maybe not. Maybe we'll just continue on the way we're doing, and be able to employ a few people and touch a few human hearts. How about that? I think we can do that. Okay. I'm going to go back and read what y'all have been saying. I've been trying to keep my thoughts straight on this because I think this is a pretty important message. It really is. So we're talking humanity here. My thing's not working. There it is. All right. Okay, Jonathan is down in Galveston. And the significance of that, the reason I bring it up is because Jonathan is a tribe member, has been here. He is down in Texas working with Sean Kelly, who's a tribe member. I haven't seen him here tonight. That's Crunchy Mama. And Sean is like, hey, why don't you come down here and help me butcher some cattle? And if you remember, Jonathan had 5 beef and couldn't get them in until October 2023, I think, or 2022 October. But anyway, way too long. And Sean was like, hey, come down here. You can work with me and then head back up to Minnesota and butcher your own. And that's a victory right there. There's a couple human hearts that are going to get together and work together, and Jonathan will go home and be able to take care of his own beef. That's a big deal. It's a really big deal. Nancy's with us. Vindicti's saying it's a sign we need to make our own fuel. Time to make distilling normal again. I agree. I totally agree. I told you guys when I was down at Sean's, he had a digester, a biogas digester, and it was pretty rudimentary. It was Israeli, and it was just made for making cooking gas. And I don't know why we're not doing it. I mean, you could have a pickup truck, and your full-time job could be feeding your digesters. And so you could, I don't know, you could be just running around finding things that would feed your digester. And your digester would run on manure, table scraps, feathers, all kinds of stuff. And you're just loading it every day with stuff. And you could have several, and then when your gas concentration is high enough, then you turn in your compressors to compress the gas into cylinders, and you could be selling that gas, right? I know why we're not doing this. We're not doing it because it would cut into the propane business and other things like that. But biogas digesters were a part of American society for a long time. Okay, before long, the dollar will be worthless, says Inga. Has a lot less worth than it did. The ghost is saying, I like you, Mark, because I was complaining that I thought maybe nobody likes me. I might as well go eat some worms. Vindicti played the clarinet. All right. Inga's a piano player. Ghost is a drummer. Well, we got some musicians here, too. A little guitar. Played a bit of classical guitar, too. Would have liked to play drums, but my parents would rather pay me not to get drums. Keith is with us. Nancy, people attending the classes have the same outlook in learning, sharing, and teaching others. You got that right. You do a class like that, and it's a winnowing process because I got to be careful how I say this. When you have people cough up money to go and do something, you know they've made a decision and they're sealing the deal with those dollars, and they are more likely to do something with that than if there were no dollars involved. Honestly, it's true. Like when you get something free in the mail, it's like throw it away. But if you had to pay for it, oh, this is more important. A lot of times, free stuff you didn't ask for it, so. Okay, Thomas Leland, new subscriber, vet, homesteader. Hi, all. There's a bunch of vets in here, Thomas. I think John is a guardsman. Jack's a guardsman. I was in the Air Force. Lots of us. It's a good thing for vets. Okay. Looking to network with others, other homesteads. I'm in Missouri. Yeah. This is the place to find them. I don't think we give out advice unless people ask for it. You just probably want to show up on a Wednesday night and ask questions like, how did you guys do this? And what do you think I should do for this? And things like that. But we're definitely in the business of helping each other out. Okay. It's Trump's fault. It was Bush. It was Bush's fault. Vindicti's saying, great message. I try not to derail your chat with other talk, but it happens. Nah, that's okay. There's always two conversations going at one time. That's okay. You know, you want that. You want sort of the informal chat behind the scenes. It's actually a good thing. Can't find a way to convert biogas to electric. Anybody else? Well, what do you mean? Yeah, all you have to do is run that in a recip engine. Like you do a propane mod on a gasoline engine, and then you run biogas instead of propane. That would do it. And the other thing you can do is instead of cooking, you can do heating with it as well. You know, when you have a lot of it, you just need to just burn it off. Yeah, Vindicti's right. I don't think you're not going to find a biogas. Generally, you'll find a propane, and then you can make an adjustment on that. It would be an orifice adjustment. And I don't know if you'd get the same punch out of it that you would propane. I really don't know. Thomas is saying biogas has too many impurities and destroys engines. Yeah, but you have to run it through a scrubber for sure. Same with when you get propane, it's already scrubbed and dehumidified. They take a lot of the distillates out of it. So you would have to do that. What about a steam engine where the cooking burner makes the heat? Yeah, you could do that. You could make steam blow over a turbine. It gets kind of intense. I don't know. When I think what I would like to do with it is push it into cylinders and then use it for heating. I think that would really be neat. But okay, we're at the end. Happy Monday. The next thing that's coming up, I think, around here, I did have a guy contact me this weekend. He wants to bring a private group to do a hog processing. So that will be the next thing. If there's seats available, I'll make them available to you guys. I really don't know too much of the details yet. And then we are starting to promote the Tribe Day. That's going to be, let's see, what day is that? I wrote it down here. It's July 9th, a Saturday, right after the 4th of July. It's the next weekend. And that is where we have like a meetup, in-person meetup of the homesteaders, the Anyone Can Farm tribes people. And if you'd like to come to that, you sure can. You can come here after noon on Friday, and you have to register with us. So we have to know that you're coming. We have a special place for Army people, all right, just so you know. And then you can camp over Friday night. We did a campfire last time, and we only had a handful of people Friday night, like maybe about 15. And then Saturday we had 85 people. It was pretty neat. A lot of kids. So this time we're going to have more adult help for the kids and break the kids down into smaller groups, age-appropriate groups if we can, and have things for them to do, like nature walks and, you know, swim time, and just we're gonna be more organized. We didn't know we'd have as many kids last time. A little crafts time, maybe face painting, playing with ducks, maybe throwing rocks into the pond or something like that. I don't know. BB gun shooting, maybe. Who knows what we'll do. I think my daughters are going to run that. And then we've got quite a few speakers that are coming. We've got some seed saving people, some hide tanning. Frank's going to do a thing on rabbits and then rabbit processing. I'm going to do a biochar demonstration. Joel will be doing a weed walk. I don't know. There's a lot going on. And we'll also have we'll do a pig roast. And so we'll have a great picnic. Had a really fun time last time. It's a good time for, fellowship, it's so important for us to come together and talk to each other and find out what other people are doing. It is a really important thing. I think we're going to do a seed swap too this spring. That's coming up too. All right. That's it. I'm going to get going. We will see you tomorrow night. Remember, Anyone Can Farm. We wound up with a nice group here. And if you do us a favor and you would like, share, and subscribe, and sharing the Anyone Can Farm experience would be a big help to not only me, but my son Joe, who's handling the media and doing a darn fine job. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow.